I'm your host, Cesar Delgado from Back Roads of Illinois. I have Dr. Chad Hart from Iowa State University Extension for Land and Ag Policies. How are you today? Dr. Hart, welcome to come in the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Let's start with our conversation on the land value for the state of Iowa and over in Midwest. Could you explain to our listeners about these land value?
We have watched a tremendous increase in land values over the past few years. In fact, as we look at both here within the state of Iowa and across the entire nation, farmland values have been going up for the past couple of years, mainly driven by some really strong prices as we look at our crops. In combination, that's led to really good income for agriculture over that past couple of years. And that has translated into strength within the land market. In fact, the graph that we're seeing on the slide right now, at least on my computer, is showing the Iowa farmland values, where over the past 3 years, we've watched an increase from the average acre of land being worth around $8,000 to now where it's nearly worth an average of almost $12,000. So a substantial increase over the past 2 to 3 years.
Are you serious about that?
Yes. And serious in that this is what we tend to see as farmers see better incomes. We tend to see that translate into higher land values because the land represents the biggest asset or the biggest store of value on the farm.
Yes, especially today, corn and beans basis is falling.
Yes, we have seen a substantial change in basis, especially within the past 6 months or so. Prior to the last 6 months, we were dealing with some drought conditions, keeping production under control, leading to higher basis levels over the past couple of years. Now that we've produced the largest corn crop we've ever had this past year, sizable soybean crop coming in last fall, and the expectation of continued large production in the future, we have seen our basis levels drop significantly over time.
Would you like to go to tell our audience about the state of Iowa taking on foreign landowner, the state of Iowa? There is,
but where that land is in relation to some of our national security interests, say looking at military bases and the like. Now, when you look at who the countries are that own that piece of our agricultural land, roughly 1/3 of the entire total, bless you, is Canada. So, and you can think of that as mainly forest land that Canada holds about a third of it. And then you go down the line, the Netherlands is next, Italy, United Kingdom. We see a lot of investment by European countries. One of the big issues has been the investment from China. But as you look here, from the data from 2022, 0.3% of all agricultural land here within the US is owned by Chinese nationals.
Do you have any final thoughts on the land value or foreign landowner as topic for right now?
I think we'll continue to see development of state level rules on foreign land ownership. As you mentioned, here in Iowa, we are looking at changing those guidelines on the allowing of foreign ownership. I know that is happening in other states across the nation as well. At the same time, too, we have to recognize sort of why some of these countries do own U.S. agricultural land. For example, a good portion of the Chinese owned land is actually owned by companies that weren't originally Chinese owned, but have become Chinese owned. So you can think of the Syngenta Seed Company, for example, or Smithfield on the pork side, where these were companies that were set up and were owned by either American or European interests that have been sold to Chinese companies and have transitioned that land from, let's call it US ownership or European ownership to Chinese ownership. And so it's working through those issues over time.
That's right, Chad.
Thank you, Cesar.
Thanks for coming, Dr. Hart. My pleasure that you joined the show for today. Thanks. You're welcome to join the show anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
This is Dr. Chad Hart from Iowa State University Extension in Ames, Iowa. From back roads of Illinois, I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great day.